And a good morning to you. Welcome inside the Bottom Line. Glad to have you here. It looks a little cloudy this morning, but 60 degrees is what we got. They're calling it mostly cloudy. I saw checked the weather this morning. It's supposed to be up about 70, so it'll be a nice day. No real rain in the forecast. Were you surprised with the storms we had the other night?
Man, we were down at West Stanley at the softball game.
Mm-hmm.
Got about top of the fifth. 1-0 game. It was great, and all of a sudden, trainer comes sprinting out of the dugout at West Stanley, runs up to the umpire, basically gets up on him, pulls out his phone and sticks it right up in his nose. The umpire calls both coaches over. They talked for like 4 minutes. Next thing I know, they cleared the stadium. So our girls had to leave the dugout, all right, walk out, which was not far to the bus, but instead of going to the bus, they put them in a building by the football field. So they had to walk like 300 yards to the –
Wow.
While the lightning was flashing around. You know, it wasn't real bad yet, but to answer your question.
Was coming that way.
The storms came in, so they had like an hour and a half, whatever delay. So we just, came on back home, and I kept in touch with my brother and everything about how the game was going when they resumed it. And as we got closer, back, because it's not that far away. It's like an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a 6-day drive, And so as we were talking to like Mandy, Leslie, Bejo back home, because me and Robbie Andrew took the bull and G and then Papa Bill, Robbie's daddy, Mandy's grandpa, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all loaded up Andrew's excursion and went. But we were talking to everybody back here, and they were like, this is crazy. Cherville got decimated with storms.
And the way that it happened here,
crazy.
I mean, we had thunder, lightning, heavy rain, not a tremendous amount of wind, but it was like waves. It would come through, and then it would die down, and it would come through, and it lasted here, I think, about 4 hours. But Cherville did. They lost center field. Center field fence came down.
Oh, did it?
You talk about, and they really feel like it. They'll probably do investigation. They feel like a tornado.
Yeah.
Because in the trees that went down, and Cherville schools are still out of school today. They were out yesterday and today. Power and damage.
Yeah, they need to be careful with that. And
they were supposed to start exams today.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you what about that. The insanity that I read on Facebook with what kids and parents are going through with this is absolutely, of course it's important to measure your progress. But, as a society, we tend to repeat things a lot and cause anxiety on issues.
Undue anxiety.
Yeah, that really aren't, what's it going to matter in 10 years?
Let me give you this. Travis Farmer. Travis is a former player. Coaches up West Lincoln, teaches.
Oh, yeah.
He posted this, and he said, if you've ever taken North Carolina Math 1 EOC while I was your teacher, you know the struggle. If you haven't, or a parent who's curious what it looks like, look no further. Here's the second question on this exam. Jane has 12 crayons, and Kim has 7 crayons. How many more crayons does Susan have than Kim? The kid wrote on the paper, who's Susan? And that's correct. That would be a correct answer. But it goes to show you that they're just doing stuff to do stuff. That question shouldn't even be on there like that. And I'll give you one more example, and I've told this before. When I was teaching, and I was teaching in EC, they had just started the end of course stuff in high school. This would have been about 95, 96.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
I taught EC. Well, an EC kid could not fail a final exam.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And whatever they made, they got a letter grade up. So if they scored a C, they got a B.
Right.
If you failed, you got a D. My question was, why do you stress these kids with taking that test? Why do you put them through that?
Anytime it comes down from the top, there's multiple reasons. And in my experience through public education, often it is not the reasons that maybe you're being told.
It wasn't to the benefit of the students. This was trying to back check teachers is all it was.
Anytime you get into CYA,
yeah, that's exactly.
There's no benefit
my next
for the
comment.
kids.
Yep.
Hey, look. Listen, Elon Musk had an interview a couple of days ago with a guy from CNBC.
Mm-hmm.
And Elon put out a tweet about George Soros.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, he was called all kinds of terrible names because of this, that, and the other. And Elon told the guy, the guy said, how can you do this? You may have Twitter people or people that buy Teslas don't agree with what you're saying. He's like, I don't care. It's my opinion. And if that costs me money, so be it. Things are flipping.
Well, and I've said that here. I'm not trying to.
Truth will always come through, even though, like today, it's partly cloudy with a chance of meatballs, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Truth will always come through. At some point, it may take a while.
When I say things on here, I tell you up front, I'm not asking you to follow me. I'm not asking you to support what I say.
Yeah.
I'm giving you my opinion and asking you to fact check it and see if come up with your own opinion.
And it does. And the thing about it is, it's okay to disagree.
Yeah, that's right.
The polarization, only benefits the elite.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it doesn't benefit people in general. And when I say the elite, I'm talking about people that think they are.
Yeah.
That swirl the wine glass, sniff it, went to this, did this, got this, all this, prestige and all those things. Man, nobody cares.
Yeah.
Don't care about that.
Milton, good morning. Brian, good morning. Richie, good morning. Andrew, good morning. Milton said Cherville had 85-mile-an-hour winds, but no tornado, according to NOAA.
Then I don't know what the definition of microburst is, but
that's a downdraft microburst,
right. But the speed of it,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but that, to Milton's point, that could be
a lot of wind take down chain link fence.
Right.
Yeah, it did have coverings on it.
Sure.
But still, that's still a lot of wind.
Today, I'm sure.
They had to move some games, and I want to say
because Richard Walker put a post out this morning with his email, that he does each morning following Legion, and there was
I'm a big Legion follower. I am all over that.
I'm a big fan of of young people, and I'm a big fan of Richard Walker. I'm a big fan of the people that coach in the Legionnaires. I am not a fan of what they've done to the game.
Correct.
Okay, I'm not. And I'm not going to ever make any bones about that.
I always said, to me, that was another thing that as time went by, that league, sport, whatever you want to call it, that group, the focus changed from the kids to people associated with.
We've changed the World Series 100%.
That are associated instead of it being about the kids, and that's always been kind of my rub.
I think we can always say, as older people, it's for the kids and for this and for that. Mm-hmm. But like I said, a couple 3 years ago, nobility's at an all-time high. Oh, we're doing this for you. We're doing this for your protection. Had a kid throw 6 innings the other night in the youth league game. And I sat him down and I said, look, after the game, I said, guys, Levi threw a great game. He did a good job. Levi's not going to play professional baseball. Okay? Levi needs to know that he can throw 6 innings and he's not going to die.
Yeah.
I said, in today's world, limitations are being put on you by others that are older that went through similar experiences that did the 6 innings, but then all of a sudden want to blame their failures on 6 innings.
Yeah.
Because they didn't make it, when in reality, they couldn't make it. The people that make it, there's a reason they're there. 6 innings of pitching baseball has nothing to do with anything. Kids get hurt because they don't throw enough, right? And people say, well, they pitch too much. No. They don't train enough. They don't. Can't go out on a weekend and throw 12 innings. Can't go out on a weekend, throw 4, play 4 games and pitch 2 of them, or pitch, 1.5 games, pitch 8 innings. You can't. You have to train for that.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to be age appropriate. God makes us all different. And for surgeons to come out and say, well, in my professional, listen, you're a surgeon, okay? The one thing you got to keep in mind is God makes us all different.
Yep.
It's very unfair, to put limitations on kids when I go out and watch my niece throw every softball game. Well, it's a natural arm movement. Repeat what you hear for me. Repeat it.
Yeah.
Because you don't know.
No.
Right?
Nope.
You don't.
But I've said it now, and you know this. You know this to be the truth.
Don't want to hear it.
Regardless of who it is, okay, anybody that has pitched for any extended period of time, whether it's softball or baseball, pitching arm's going to be longer. It just stretches.
It's going to be a little sore. It just
happens. It just happens.
You're competing.
Yep.
What's the difference in that? You're telling me that you can't throw a certain number of pitches in high school high school baseball, but in football you can line up and go mash heads.
Yeah.
The whole game with no restrictions.
Yep.
People.
No, it's just you can't just make generic, arbitrary rules.
You can't BS guys like me that have been there and done that have had the knee surgeries, that had the elbow surgeries, that have had that.
Yep.
You can't. You can talk about all day long, well, if you would have had stuff in place, you wouldn't have had to have. Let me tell you something. That's a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
My stuff happened because I played hard. I'm okay with it. I'm okay limping around, not being able to exercise like I want to because of mobility and things. I'm okay with that. I would go back and do it all over again. That's me. Some people say, well, I can't believe. Listen. It's individualized. That's what America's about.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these things are being taken away by those that know better. It's ridiculous.
Let me, I got you on a little bit of a roll.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. They have made a change that, and we're going to get into the ACC thing also. The word realignment came up, I saw in an article yesterday.
Oh, God.
Before we got into NIL and that kind of stuff, if they had been smart enough to just figure out, hey, we need to share some pie here.
Yep.
You remember you used to could get Madden with College Edition.
Mm-hmm. Then it
went away.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Because it's not
now fair. EA Sports is letting FBS players opt in.
It's in the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
When the first version of college football video game in years comes out next summer, it'll have the virtual likeness. If they had done this, they probably could have avoided this whole NIL mess because that's all these kids wanted.
You know what's going to take over college football?
What?
XFL and USFL.
Well, you're going to see a big separation between.
Do you know why? Because they play hard to get to the next level, and it's not all this. Now high school kids are playing. I mean, they're coming out with, hey, check out my design for this or my, play football. It's okay. I don't mind people making money. That is not what I'm talking about.
Yep.
But when there's a major shift, you adapt and adjust as time goes on. But when you do wholesale change, just like NASCAR did, what's going popular again? Darlington, Rockingham,
getting smaller,
Wilkesboro,
regionalized.
Listen, it's the natural expansion and contraction of things, right? Mm-hmm. It's like an economic cycle, I mean,
and there's nothing new. Everything just cycles back around.
Winter, summer, spring, fall. You got to know when to harvest. Mm-hmm. Okay, in the fall, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree.
I mean, and again, I hope people can do all they can do and make what they can make and do this and do that. But just like Elon Musk said, and people say, yeah, but he's got all the money in the world. It doesn't matter. He can say that. Well, there's a reason he got to where he was because he's always been that guy.
Well, and the other thing,
money doesn't change you; it reveals you.
And a lot of folks have to understand whether you like him, you don't like him. He's always been pretty transparent.
Well, he does. That's it.
And that's the key. I mean, that's the whole key to all of this.
Listen to what I'm saying.
If you're transparent and it's supposed to work because what you're saying is legitimate, it's going to work. If you're transparent and it doesn't, that means you didn't have the right idea. But that way you always know what's going on.
James Allen, as a man thinketh. Okay, when it was written 100-some years ago, today, if it was written, just like the guy that does the Audible, he says it would be written as a person thinketh, right? Well, and the one thing they talk about is money doesn't change a person; it rather reveals the true person.
Yes, that's right.
So the people say, "Well, he's got all the money in the world. He can't say that. He can do this and that." Nah, you're wrong.
What happens is when you have money, you find out who that person really is by the way that they handle it and what they do with it. And
it reveals who they really are.
That's exactly right.
And when they say things like that, it's not that they're taking the high road or doing this. That's how they got there, by being that way.
My question is, I wonder if the new college edition, how well it will be. And they made statements in this article.
G won't get it.
They made statements in this article that they think it's earth-shattering. It's brand new. Things like EA Sports has contracted with One Team Partners to facilitate college athletes' names and likeness into the game, solving one of the major questions about college football return to the video game space. If they'd have done it to start with, we wouldn't have had a lot of the mess that we did. But nobody – it was like the biggest thing is they felt like they had complete, total power and they could stop it.
So the next progression of this is 5-star recruit goes to a university. 5-star recruit doesn't get to play because 5-star recruit's really a 2-star. But who does he blame?
Oh, I know, somebody else.
He turns around and blames the coach.
Yeah.
And it funnels to the head coach. Head coach gets sued for $3.5 million, settles out of court for $1 million. So he doesn't have to go through everything. May have all the evidence in the world. I'm telling you, this is where it's going.
It's going to
happen in high school too, because you're going to have people that invest in their children at a young age that their kids in 6th and 7th grade look like they're going to be the next whatever, and then they stop growing, and they don't get any better after age 16, which is still pretty good. They don't get any better. It's not the kid's fault. He was on a path to, the highest possible level. Sometimes kids just don't get any better. They max out. Right here. It's okay. Not in today's world, buddy. When it was my fault that I maxed out because whatever. Not in today's world. It's your fault.
Yeah.
It's your fault.
Now,
all you can do as a coach is provide opportunity, right? You have to provide opportunity in a setting for players, athletes, to display their skills. You can't go off your judgment, especially if you aren't, don't know what it takes to get there, right? If you weren't a college, professional athlete yourself, it's very hard to judge who can play and who can't based on what little knowledge you have through personal experience of what it takes to get there, right? So then there's going to be some issues with that too. So credibility in the long run will actually step up in the coaching circuit, or it'll go away in high school and just be kind of the way it's trending now, the way it's going.
I haven't seen this movie, and I don't know the name of it, but I want you to you maybe have seen it. It's a movie about Clint Eastwood's in it. He's an old baseball scout.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
And he's training his daughter.
Yep.
And I think he's losing some of his eyesight, and he's doing things by hearing. I've just seen clips of it.
Remarkable movie.
But here's the thing, going back to what you're saying. His number one scout on this team said, I'll put my job on the line. We've got to draft this kid.
Yep.
And Clint kept saying, he can't hit the curve. Yeah, he can. Yeah, he can. And then when you get to this one scene, he's taking BP, and he's killing it, and he's jacked up.
Pedro Serrano.
And then they put this pitcher in that I guess was selling peanuts in the stadium or something, and he smoked him. Now, he popped a couple out with his fastball. Then when he threw the curveball, kid could not hit it, and the kid got mad.
Yeah.
Like it was somebody else's fault.
Of course it is.
I mean, but I say when you get to competition, that's not a coaching thing. When you get to one-on-one drills to where it's 1-to-1 and it's your skills against their skills, it determines whether you can play at that level or not.
Of course it does.
And that's not any evaluation on anybody's part. He's either on his back or you're on your back.
But see, that's not that is the way you would do it, right? But that is not the reality of the situation.
But there's no other way that you can do it.
I agree if it's done the right way. But there's other ways that it's done.
I know.
And that's the issue. That's what I'm saying. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying.
Let me give you a couple comments before we take a break.
By the way, did you play college football?
I did.
Were you like one of the best players in the state when you were in high school? Say yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's why you know how to do that.
But when I got down there, it didn't take long for me to come to the realization. I say this all the time. everybody that was there on the roster was at least as good as I was.
Sure.
And most of them were better than I was.
100%.
And if you can't come to that realization, then you're not taking a real fair look at where you're at.
But you did what it took and had what it took to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That's experience.
You're
I
used
to relate that experience into the coaching side of things to provide kids with opportunity that may not have the abilities that you had, so you can truly measure their talent and know that you have.
And
to
you can't measure it until you get it on the same level.
Field. They're not one on the field. This is how you get to know who your players are.
And I don't know who came up with this saying, but
Just saying.
We used to have it in the locker room when I was coaching. And it's as true now as it was then. But it was a simple quote. I don't know who to credit it to. Maybe you've heard it. But all it said was, if it's to be, it's up to me.
100%.
And that's as simple as it can get. Let me give you a couple comments. I'm going to take a break. Andrew said the biggest struggle we now face as a society is common sense. Isn't that true?
Baby.
Yeah. And Milton said the calluses are not there anymore. That's because the work getting put in, Milton.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Richie said he liked playing the NCAA football. He said, I was a little sad when they stopped because what transpired from these players. However, I think the players were right. Their images and likeness were being used without their permission, and that's all they had to take care of. Some people say, Rich said, some people think they're on the way to stardom with backyard effort. Wow. I like that one, Richie. Morning, sis. Wake up, Canatic Nation. It's game day. Canes versus Panthers, Eastern Conference Finals. Series winner plays for the Stanley Cup. Stephen Lowe, good morning. I got a Notre Dame thing I'll ask you when we come back from break, Stephen. Richie said the movie is Trouble with the Curve.
Yep.
Okay, I got to get that movie. I want to watch that.
It's really good.
Andrew said, speaking of pitching, let's hear how to navigate this weekend's 12U tournament. There are 2 pool play games on Saturday, 4 bracket games on Sunday to win the tournament, 8-inning max for pitchers.
Tell all the parents to get their arms loose because they're going to be
let me tell you something, Andrew. It's
smokes.
just like any small school baseball program. If you don't have the pitching depth with the way the rules are today, you can't win because you don't have enough arms. Todd said that the Trouble with the Curve is based around Asheville, Waynesville, and Western North Carolina. Great movie.
Yeah.
Milton said, crooked ball, bats are sacred. Pedro Serrano. Yeah. Thank you. That's from Major League.
Major League. Hats.
Jubu.
I offer him
Jubu, you bad.
water and rum. Jubu will come.
Kane E. Ack. Thank you, Lindsay. English was not my, English is a second language with me.
Hey, look. The thing I posted about the guy that had the chart up there that had all this, he said some, S-O-M, then he put D, dome. There's nothing that makes, anyway.
We'll take a break back in a minute.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit MooneyInsurance.com. Stifel Nicholas now has an office in your community. Stifel Nicholas is a full-service organization offering a wide range of investment vehicles and services. These include money market funds, CDs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, retirement plans, and managed accounts, to name a few. Our financial advisors will sit down with you and help you tailor an investment plan, explaining strategies and investments which may help you achieve your personal goals. Call 4 Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange. Welcome back. Happy Thursday. All right, Stephen, it's the Stephen Lowe question of the morning.
All right, here it goes.
I'm a little disappointed, Stephen. I'm going to tell you. I'm a little disappointed in this because it's about your sacred Chrome Domes,
Yep.
the Fighting Irish, because the school is getting involved in this, talking about the college football thing.
Yep.
But here's the problem. They've opened it up to FBS players. 120 FBS schools have committed to being in the game, along with all 10 FBS conferences and the college football playoff. So they can simulate all of this stuff. You know, in case you didn't know, being in radio, if I were to write a script about a special day for Super Bowl Sunday, okay, from a restaurant's going to have a Super Bowl party.
Right.
I can't say Super Bowl party because that's copyrighted. That's protected. That restaurant can't use that phrase because that's copyrighted. It's trademarked. You have to say things like the big game, for the big game. That's been there for years. I mean, you know, everybody trying to protect it. Anyway, let me go back. EA Sports announced the return with questions surrounding name, image, likeness were among the biggest it had to answer. At the time, Notre Dame was among a small number of schools that indicated through statements or news reports that it would not agree to participate until NIL compensation was worked out. Schools do not need to be involved with NIL. That's the athlete. That's the athlete. If the school's
They
involved,
have to be.
I know, but I don't like that part of
They
it.
provide the platform for the athlete to display their skills. This is the rub that I have with all of this.
Yeah.
They're
Notre Dame is still in discussion with EA Sports. Okay? And here's the other thing, and I think you know this, that's coming. One team, which has partnerships with players' unions, including the NFL Players Association, Major League Soccer, USWNT Players Association, previously worked with EA Sports on the Madden Football and FIFA franchises. Here's what's going to happen, I think. I think eventually you're going to see a Players Association in college. I hate to see it.
Of course,
They
should have one based on everything that's going on, because now it's about their interest. As far as compensation goes, compensation used to come in the form of the scholarship money. And then all of a sudden it was, well, here's some money to do laundry and get something to, eat. And then, well, that's not enough, so we got to do the education side of things. So when the education is no longer the most valuable thing, this ought to tell you something about the way the educational system is and is heading right now. Doesn't make it wrong or bad. I'm just saying it's
just changed.
It's changing, and that doesn't mean that education is not important. What I'm saying is this ought to tell us all that these, especially if it's, I'm just giving an example, if it's $20,000 a year and you actually go to school for 5 years, you redshirt your freshman year, whatever, that's $100,000, not to mention the money you get in between and all the health care and everything else. You're looking at $1 million, realistically, when it's all said and done, food, all these things, all right? When that's not good enough, then you move on to the next thing. I don't know if that's called progress or if I don't know. There's a lot of questions I have about this. And that's why I'm saying that a lot of people may take an interest into the USFL and the XFL because of how hard the players play. It's like watching traditional high school football.
Because they're still trying to make it.
That's what I'm saying. Most people determine I've made it by how much money they have. I don't know.
I think it's about accomplishments.
Of course, and that's I completely
agree. That's why I don't
fit
in today's society.
Well, but and again, I have discussions with people in my family all the time. You have to adapt to the world that you live in now, not the one you grew up in X amount of years ago, just like I do. But at the same time, that doesn't mean you don't ask questions and challenge the new norms to make them, make sure they're valid and they're strong. And
you don't have to like it.
No. But you have to accept it. Doesn't mean you have to agree with it. And I don't want anybody not to earn anything. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying the whole process of this is just not – it's not traditional, in the way that you go about earning things in life because things happen now so quickly. So it's going to take people like me that have certain thoughts and feelings about it a while to come around to this because in life you have to go through stages, right? And you got to fail and have setbacks and go up and go up. You can't start here and stay at stardom without having the experiences in between it. Because the quicker you get here, the faster you'll fall because you don't have things to fall back on. It's just like having formal stages, to go through in life. There's 5 of them until you get to about age 24. And if you don't complete one, doesn't mean you can't go to the next one, but you'll revert back to the one until you complete it to move on for maturity reasons. It's the same thing in growth and development of business savvy, sports, anything else. You have to have failure because it's our greatest teacher. And today, the failure comes from giving a kid $1 million and them thinking, well, I got $1 million. Well, yeah, but you owe about $300 in taxes, possibly a lot more. And then you've already spent it $200 on this sports car. You're throwing out $100 bills in the locker room, right? And then all of a sudden you don't have anything. I
know one of the questions when I first started in this, and we put ESPN radio on in Charlotte. One of my first guests I had on was Coach Ford. And one of the questions that I asked him was, when did it change? And when I say that, when did it change? When I went to school, and I'm going to get your comment, Brian. When I went to school, I just wanted to go to Clemson and play and hopefully one day compete for a national championship. Did I want to play pro? Oh, gosh, everybody wanted to play pro, but it would take care of itself if the other things took care of themselves. But now that's not what it's about. Kids go and all they're thinking about is the next level, not the level that they've got to compete in. Brian said, when I tell my youth football team, I try to give you the skills to make it to the next level, which is middle school, not college or pros. The problem is we don't know our limitations. It's okay to have this goal, but you got to understand what it takes to get there.
Yes.
And do all the work that you have to put in to get there. Richie said, hey, the Washington football team's been sold. New owner's throwing Snyder under the bus. He needs to be thrown under the bus. Lindsey Duck says Hurricanes are going to get beat tonight by the Panthers. I think the Heat won last night, beat the Celtics, I believe. Steven said his faithful Notre Dame needs to worry about other things like joining a conference.
That's a great point. Quick, decisive, and 100% truthful.
A high school had to change its mascot likeness because App State has a copyright on Yosef. Well, Yosef was created at App State. That's a little bit different. It was created. That Mountaineer was created.
So when I was at Madison, high in the mountains there, the Patriots, well, that's when New England came out with that Patriot head, that new thing. And, of course, Madison had it everywhere. Yeah. When I got there, they were in the middle of some exchange.
Langton got in a little trouble with some of the NC State likeness of the Wolfpack.
My thing is there's people starving in the world. Do we really need to worry about a high school copying of? Hey, man.
Here you go. You can evaluate this one for. Lindsay said, I'm still saying make it a system where if a player doesn't stay for 3, they owe what's been paid in for them. Or if they want to be paid employees, then they don't need scholarships. Yeah. I've said since if you're going to get NIL money, you need to pay for your own school. Or you need to negotiate that in your money somehow.
I completely
because if
agree
you're going to
with
get
this.
money, you don't need the free money. You're taking that money away from somebody else that could come to school.
Think about how much liability insurance coaches are going to have to buy. And representation, lawyers.
Well, like I do, the only people that make money are the attorneys, because they're in it on both sides. I mean, that's just the way that it works.
Just it's just one of those things, right?
Yeah. All right, let me move on. Yeah. ADs and the ACC commissioner. This is what they told him. Hey, we're all in this together. ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips wrapped up 3 days of spring meetings with a message of unity, saying his league athletic directors have told him we're all in this together. We'll see till the check comes along. I saw an article. I can't remember. I can't remember if it was on Bleacher Report or The Athletic, but it did like a what if these 8 schools pulled out, where they would go. The one that surprised me more than any was Carolina would not be an SEC school. It would be a Big Ten school. Had State.
Carolina would be a Big Ten.
Mm-hmm. SEC. It had the 2 Virginia schools being Big Ten. Had Miami, Florida State, Clemson being SEC schools.
Well, I think Chapel,
State.
I think Chapel Hill, that would probably be a better fit. Just the dynamics in Chapel Hill.
From a sports standpoint. Don't want to expand on that?
No. Okay. I think if I don't know what Chapel Hill would have in common with the SEC. Do you?
Correct.
Outside the sports.
Correct.
Not criticizing. Not
no,
making
I know
light
what you're
of
saying.
anything.
I know what you're saying.
When I think of LSU and I think of Alabama, there's a lot of similarities there.
Mm-hmm.
When I think of Georgia and I think of Tennessee, there's a lot of similarities there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When I think of Carolina, right, and I think of Mississippi State,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
traditional campuses.
I'm
history.
I'm looking around to try to figure out where I saw this, so I could give you all of the.
But I see. But this is This is another discussion too. TCU's a fish out of water.
Mm-hmm.
They don't belong where they are.
Yeah.
But yet, do they belong in the SEC? Right.
Well,
Texas A&M felt like they did. Right.
Some people have went in because they thought that's where they needed to be.
Well, they chasing certain things.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't know. I mean, I look at Maryland and I look at the rest of the ACC. Big Ten's a better fit for them, even though I wish they would stay in the ACC.
I agree.
I look at Virginia Tech. They scream SEC to me. They don't scream ACC to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Nope.
I look at South Carolina. They really just – I know people are going to lose their minds on it. They don't scream SEC to me.
No. They
don't.
Yeah.
They don't.
They're an ACC school.
And I don't mean any disrespect towards any team. What I'm saying is there's similarities and likenesses, and that's okay. Yeah, and there's also major differences. That's okay. It's just I'm kind of like you and like a lot of people that are listening that have chimed in, over the couple 3 years, 4 years, whatever. Where's this thing going?
Mm-hmm. This is, I think I got it from 24/7 Sports because I do follow them. Let me take a break and then I'll give you what they were thinking. And then that's, you think, well, if we get moved, this will take care of everything. No, it doesn't. It just creates a whole new set of problems.
Well, it's kind of like Maiden being in the conference with Cherville and West Lincoln and Shelby and Chase and Lincoln and Bessemer City. It didn't really – I mean, we did fine, but it was kind of like strange. Yeah, it's really strange.
It's because you have natural rivalries, and you didn't have a lot of those.
Right.
Yeah.
You used to an old SD7, but that got disbanded.
Mm-hmm.
Some schools got smaller, some got larger. Yeah. That's okay. Things change. What I'm saying is things either feel right or don't feel right. Or when Maiden was up there with Hendersonville and Polk County and all them in the –
remember that? Highland Tech. Yeah, the Fighting Rams. Back in a moment.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit MooneyInsurance.com.
Stifel Nicholas now has an office in your community. Stifel Nicholas is a full-service organization offering a wide range of investment vehicles and services. These include money market funds, CDs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, retirement plans, and managed accounts, to name a few. Our financial advisors will sit down with you and help you tailor an investment plan, explaining strategies and investments which may help you achieve your personal goals. Call 4Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange.
And welcome back. All right, let me tell you where all these teams are going based on what this is 24/7. This was Brad Crawford did this article, and half the league's teams are reportedly bounding together because it's going to take something like that. Nobody's going to the Pac-12. That doesn't make any sense. But this is what it kind of came out. If Virginia Tech leaves, they'd go to the Big Ten.
Yep.
There was considerable buzz about the Hokies joining the SEC the last time.
But they'll go Big Ten. Like I said, they're SEC team.
Geographically, it works better,
they'll
too.
Go Big Ten, yeah. They'll go Big Ten.
Virginia would go Big Ten, and they fit better in the Big Ten.
100%. Just like Maryland, right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
State, SEC.
SEC all the way.
The other part of that is
all the way.
Is because now Raleigh's TV market is inside the top 25.
Research Triangle.
Yeah.
All the way in Chapel Hill, Durham, all of that. Incredible growth and opportunity.
And SEC's only looking for like one team a state. That's kind of what they're looking for. Clemson, SEC. Okay?
That gives them two.
Clemson, Florida State, Miami have worked together to try to get there.
Yeah, they'll come out. And they should.
Carolina,
Florida State
Big
was
Ten.
there. Florida State was there and got out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Wah, wah, wah.
Big Ten for the Tar Heels. They're well positioned. UNC often places high annually in the Learfield Directors Cup standing, where grades are a success across the sports. Multiple sources have told 24/7 Sports the Big Ten would love to creep into the Carolinas.
Oh, yeah.
Just like into Virginia.
It would be great.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be. This is the problem. The ACC has run its course. They expanded to 7,000 teams.
They went. That's correct.
And it screwed everything up. It's no longer the ACC. It's the new whatever, and it's not exciting.
Yep. No.
Instead of having a 1 in 9 chance or 1 in 8 chance of winning the conference championship, they got like a 1 in 60.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Florida State athletic director Michael Alford said they're worried about the ACC's revenue gap compared to the Big Ten and the SEC.
Yeah.
And it was like we talked on Tuesday. They negotiated a long-term contract and shouldn't have because too many things happened over a period of 12 years. That was just crazy.
Why don't you just leave and then do a settlement? Or just keep it in court for 20 years and drain the ACC's funds.
I was like this one. This was one I missed. Miami to the Big Ten.
Yeah, they won't go. They're another team, I think, that's like Carolina, another school that it would make more sense for them to be Big Ten than SEC. And in the way that maybe I view it right now. Does that make – no, I'm just saying I can see that more. I can see it more. They're more of a Big Ten style, Big Ten type.
Now it's funny because before they came into the before they came to the ACC, Florida State and Miami were both independents, weren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
No. Florida State was in the SEC.
Were they?
Yes.
I don't know why.
So I think one thing that is interesting, and I'm pretty sure Florida State was in the SEC, but one thing that's interesting to me, I was down in Miami. About a month ago, Laney. And one thing that was interesting to me at the place that I was staying where we had our conference was I saw a tremendous amount of Indiana, Michigan, let me think, Connecticut, Wisconsin, Illinois. I saw a tremendous amount of northern, I would call it exposure, right? People that have retired, moved down there, that lived there, until about this time of year, and they moved back. But it was just really interesting that it wasn't like New York City, New York, that kind of thing. It was those outlying. So I can see why Miami, just thinking about that alone, would be a fit for the Big Ten area because there's a lot of commonality between them.
It's
what about Wake?
See, they're not listed in here.
See, that's the thing. Like Wake Forest has they are a very small team. They're like Rice, Rice University, right? Small, private, all this. But Wake Forest puts out very, very, very good athletic teams. Very good. who they're not going to the SEC. So is the new conference formed? Do they go to the Big 12? You see what I'm saying? There's just a lot that.
See, the other thing that they talk about is Louisville could be targeted by the Big 12.
That would be a good fit. I could see that.
And then Big 10, I could see where the Big 10 would like to have Georgia Tech to get that Atlanta market and get their footprint into Georgia.
That'd be fine.
Yeah. But it still doesn't make sense for me to have Southern Cal and UCLA in the Big 10. Economically, that's stupid. Unless you just did it for
TV contract,
major sport.
Yeah.
Not the whole – and that's what I keep saying.
See,
you don't need to do it for everything.
You can't do that based on – you could do that, but then there would be tremendous amount of resistance, tremendous amount of lawsuits because of the equal opportunity clause, that is in effect with, Title IX and other sports and other laws that are there to provide opportunity, right, to people, like common opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
There's what I think is going to happen is you're going to see the eventual breakup in the next year or two of the ACC. They're going to say, you know what, yeah, we signed a long-term deal, we ain't doing it. Sue us. We're out of here. You can't do that.
Somebody will pick up the tab.
So what you do is you say, look, no problem. You're either going to let us go, we'll agree to pay this settlement, or it's going to be 20 years before a judgment comes down.
Yeah, you can tie it up in court forever.
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at. So that's why you have binding agreements so the payout makes sense, just like they do head coaches that leave and things like that, okay? Or if they get fired, whatever. What's interesting to me is the potential possibility of an Appalachian State, Wake Forest, East Carolina, Charlotte regional conference forming that would generate local excitement. Mm-hmm. Everyone could travel to the games within a day and come home that night if they wanted to. Been to many East Carolina games and come back home the same night. It's a long day, but can do that. I say many, a few. Wake is an hour and 10 minutes away. Appalachian's an hour. Charlotte's not far. I can see things like that, Lanny, coming down the road. Mm-hmm. Charlotte's looking to expand their football program, their stadium size, getting more. So things are starting to come around. And what may look like a step back for some universities or a setback may actually end up being a major catapult after 3 or 4 or 5 years of doing it, because things and trends take hold, right? It's the herd mentality of things. We saw it with the run on the banks a few weeks ago. These smaller regional banks, small regional banks are very big, but we saw that because of deposit share and basically people not being paid interest rates, right?
And
it's the same thing in this.
The problem with Charlotte was they still thought they were a national basketball power, and they couldn't step down when they brought football. Yes, they couldn't get out of the past, couldn't get out of their own way. Yeah, couldn't get out of their own way.
But I think that day is now.
Yeah, I think
we're
realization,
starting to see it, and that's a good thing. That's okay. And I'm not, and I'm not so sure Davidson doesn't jump into that. Mm-hmm. Schools like UNC Greensboro that don't have football.
I don't like it when they do that.
No. I'm just saying it could spur them to. I know. Because that is a fantastic – I mean, we've got a lot of really good things locally. Mm-hmm. Western Carolina, as much as the Appies don't, things could materialize. Yeah. Now, again, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but, you always look out 5 to 7 years, 10 years on things. That is a possibility that we can see in the landscape because we've seen what happened when you go too big with NASCAR.
That's right.
We've seen what happens when you go too
bigger
big
isn't always better.
With the NFL.
Yeah, bigger isn't always better.
We've seen what happens when you go too big with college sports. Mm-hmm. People want to get back to things that are truthful, that are true. And, for the last several years, that's been skewed. Mm-hmm. 2 plus 2 is 4. Mm-hmm. We're told, well, it doesn't always have to equal that. Well, not in, some alternate universe, but 2 and 2 is 4. Yep. Truth.
Richie said they're all in it together until they ain't. Milton said
that's
you
fantastic.
Always get a vote of confidence just before you get fired. Tom Todd says that I guess it was Tuscola is the one that had to do their logo.
Yeah.
The new logo
Yeah.
looks great. Richie said Virginia Tech would be surprised to be a Big Ten school.
Yeah.
Lindsay said, yep, UNC is different.
Well, I mean, and not in a, like all my family's from there. You know, the Burlington, Mebane, Chapel Hill, Durham, Rougemont, all that area. Like, they're all from that area. Eflin, it's on the way. I mean, these are my people.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that it's okay.
Richie said that geographically Carolina belongs to the SEC. Academically and culturally, they belong in the Big Ten. I don't see it's that geographically, Richie, because the SEC goes so deep down into Louisiana and stuff.
I don't know if academically that that's a point that we hear a lot, and Richie obviously makes a good point there. But I do think academics sometimes are overlooked in the SEC based on how well the athletics do, and then it's secondary. Ole Miss, is one of those that is definitely not a second tier, and he's not saying they are. I'm not putting words in. I just want to be very clear that degrees from places like Auburn and Alabama and Georgia and in Ole Miss carry a tremendous amount of weight, just like the one from Chapel Hill or Duke State, UNC Asheville does. There are places that carry a lot of weight just based on that as well.
Yeah. Andrew said, I just want to give my vote of confidence right there. I'm with you, Andrew. I don't care where Clemson goes as long as they have Dabo. I'm with you, baby. And Brian says he does too. He totally agrees. Rich said the problem that UNC would have with that is if they go Big Ten and State goes SEC, they would lose in recruiting, among other things, to State, and the alumni do not want that to happen.
Oh, now that's a point that we could do a segment on. And the reason I say that is because when
they live in the past.
Look, very much.
Okay, just thought I'd check.
Okay, you crazy. But if you think about it, many of the Big Ten defensive players were what when they came to the school?
Offensive players. Yeah.
SEC, that happens, but not a lot.
Yeah.
So that's a great point.
Yep.
Now, does that mean it's going to be less of a football? No, there'll be more opportunity. All right. But like we all said, sometimes we got to know our limitations, but also know what our horizon, what actually is held for us in the horizon in front of us, and not
potential.
What we, it's kind of like Garth Brooks said, I thank God for unanswered prayers.
Yeah.
A lot of times we learn that not only when we're young,
careful what you ask for.
Older, right?
Careful what you ask for.
Right.
Duck said Miami was in the Big East. FSU was independent, and Miami was in the Big East, what Richie said.
Okay, so if FSU was independent, they were not SEC. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay, I apologize. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry. Chad said Wake baseball is pretty good. Richie said,
God,
I don't know
incredible.
what Wake would do with football, but I saw Wake and Duke to the Big East. And I could see that. They're more basketball fits than they are.
But they don't have Big East anymore.
Well, it's the All-American.
No,
it's where ECU
is. I understand.
ECU's kind of in the old Big East.
Yeah. It's just.
Yeah, I know. PGA starts today, championship.
That'll
Chad
be
said,
fun.
what about Elon?
Okay, great example. Great, thank you for bringing that up. Left him out. Yes, great example.
Well, let me tell you. I'll tell you a quick story about Elon. Elon was like some other of the smaller private schools in the Southern Conference. Right. One of the reasons Appalachian had to get out, they wanted to cut scholarships, not increase scholarships, because they couldn't afford it.
Well,
basically.
now that has changed
Yeah.
drastically. And Gardner-Webb is in the same.
Yep.
I tell you what, Chad, this is something that maybe next week or something that we can talk more about or down the road. But, from time to time, if you don't mind, brother, how about bringing this up so we can maybe see where things are, if you hear of anything.
Yeah.
That could be interesting.
Richie said Big East is a basketball-only conference. They have Georgetown, Villanova, and a few other schools.
Yeah.
All right, I got to go, do a real job today. So, yeah, I know. I hate it too. But it's one of the things got to be done. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you Monday night. Me and Juju will be back Monday night as far as I know. We've gotten through all of our things. I had graduation activities 2 weeks ago. Then we had the Sports Hall of Fame this Monday, but back at it next week. Have a great weekend.